Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Denee Busby-Howard from XD Innovation, and welcome to our webinar today discussing where product begins and how you integrate those tools into the 3D Experience platform. I've got some great subject matter experts that are going to be sharing some details with you today. I'll introduce those gentlemen a little bit later. First, I'd like to just go over a couple house cleaning rules so that everybody understands how to have a great webinar. First, please keep your cell phones muted and or off. Put them in vibrate mode. No texting or emailing while we're on the webinar. Second, you will be able to enter all your questions into the chat box. That's at the right-hand side of your screen, and you can enter in questions as the webinar is going on, and we will make sure that we answer those questions at the conclusion of the webinar. And I wanted to give you a little bit of information about XD Innovation. We are a Dassault Systemes provider, a solutions provider. We are comprised of subject matter experts that has great experience from working in the industry, working with Dassault Systems. So I'm sure you'll enjoy today, and I hope you guys get involved and be interactive. And we'll start in just a couple of minutes. We're going to give a little bit of time for everybody to log on here. Yesterday, I went to the Space Tech Expo. If any of you guys are going, it's a great event for those of you in the aerospace and defense industry. We're going to give folks a couple of minutes to log on here. I will start in about 1 minute. Give everybody a couple of moments to log on. Okay, so I am going to start by introducing our panelists and subject matter experts for today. We have Soufiane Elaamili, who is the Managing Director of XD Innovation. Soufiane, say hi to the people.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar.
And we have David Mann, who is the Worldwide High-Tech Director for Dassault Systemes. David, give a howdy doody.
Hi, Denee, and thanks for inviting me and having me part of the webinar.
Thanks. And again, my name is Denee Busby-Howard. I'm your host and moderator for today's webinar. So I was giving you guys a little bit of overview of XD Innovation as a Dassault Systems provider. This is just a wide range of view of some of our customers. Really what I want to highlight is the industries that are represented here. We have transportation and mobility, aerospace and defense, consumer goods, high tech, and industrial equipment. So we cover a wide range of industries that really might represent those of you who are on the call today. So Soufiane, let's jump right into this PLM Essentials thing. Can you give me an introduction? What is it? I've never really heard of this term before. Maybe you can walk me through it.
Great. Thank you, Denee, and thank you to our attendees for today. So PLM Essentials, what is it? You know, we hear a lot about PDM and PLM. What's the difference between PDM? What is PLM? And there is this notion, I guess, in the marketplace that PLM is big. It's a big system. It's only for the big corporations. And we'd like to debunk that myth here today. So what we here at XD Innovation do is we have a package that we call PLM Essentials that includes all of the PDM functionalities such as document management or CAD data management. And then we take that a little bit further into bill of materials, change management, and project management. So really PDM is more about managing the product data. PLM, we add a layer of managing the governance and managing the process around building a particular product. So that's what we're here to talk about today, and we're very excited about this session.
Thanks, Soufiane. Thanks for giving us an overview of PDM versus PLM. That's a common confusion in the industry. David, can you go over a little bit more about this introduction to this PLM Essentials thing from a Dassault Systems perspective? Can you give us some more
Sure.
insight?
Sure. So the PLM Essentials from XD Innovation is based on the 3D Experience platform. 3D Experience platform is a solution from Dassault Systems, is our primary platform, and it's a business platform. It basically helps companies bring people together across all different disciplines, whether you be in engineering and manufacturing and management or in sales or marketing, and bring them all together on one view of the product. And the real effect of this is helping customers innovate a lot faster with their products and bring them to market a little bit faster.
Awesome. Awesome.
So if you look at kind of why you would want to go with a 3D experience platform and what you should really be looking for, there's a few benefits that really stand out. The first things are more functionality. In a PLM system, specifically with the 3D experience platform, you're getting the end user look and feel that they're able to get their work done very, very efficiently. So that being able to interact very quickly, do their designs, store them, get them back out, do all the sort of operations that they would want to have, while still having all of the higher level functionalities of project management, full enterprise bill of materials, configuration management, things like that. And it brings together lots of different people. So inside your company, you have a lot of people that work on your product. Those people are going to be working together. So you have input from marketing, you have different engineering disciplines, whether it be electronics, mechanical, simulation, all working together to bring it to your product to life. At the same time, the configuration of the 3D Experience platform, and specifically with the PLM Essentials, the licensing is very flexible. The cost of ownership is minimized. We can deploy on cloud, also some of the deployment options that Soufiane will talk about a little bit later. And it's basically packaged by role. So no matter what industry you're in, we have specific out-of-the-box modules that are going to respond directly to your industry process. So it minimizes customization and configuration, where you can use the product essentially straight out of the box.
Ooh, thanks, David, for clearing that up, because customization can be a bad word. Thanks so much. Soufiane, I've heard about the 3D Experience platform before, and I hear this term data-driven. Can you go into that a little bit deeper? Because I need to understand, if I'm going to consume this, what does all this mean?
Yes, that's a great question, Denee. And that goes back to what I said earlier about PDM versus PLM. So when we're talking about PDM, we're really managing documents and managing CAD files. When we go into the PLM Essentials environment, now we're into a data-driven environment. So what does that mean? So data-driven project management is really the first layer of that, which means we're really connecting the tasks to the deliverables and having what we call an invisible governance into the whole process. So a designer and engineer that designs a particular part or an assembly doesn't have to go to a different system to actually check that they've done the work. It's all seamless into the platform. Everything is interconnected in terms of tasks versus deliverables, and everything rolls up in terms of reports and deliverables to upper management. There's also the notion of data-driven engineering BOM, and that's the ability to sync your CAD files and make those files become a bill of materials, a tabular bill of materials that you can consume downstream because now it's data instead of a file. Another thing that's also very important, and we'll touch on, and like David mentioned earlier, product development is more than just engineering. It's the supply chain, it's the manufacturing, it's the quality, it's all of the different stakeholders that need to interact and collaborate together. And with the PLM Essentials capabilities, because it's an online platform, because it is accessible through a web browser, all of these stakeholders now have what we call a single point of the truth that everybody can access to and have access to all of this information in one place.
Awesome, Soufiane. David, some of the capabilities for the users inside the platform. You guys have given me an overview of what PLM Essentials is and some of the key benefits. Can you talk a little bit about the users in the platform, and what's their view? What are they going to be using? What are the tools that they're going to be using and consuming?
So in the PLM Essentials offering that XD Innovation has put together, it basically brings three main groups together. The
Okay.
first is which is the entire set of users in the organization, where they can do online collaboration, and this can be things such as discussions around topics. It can be ideation processes. It can be document management, but things that all users in the company can participate in just by having a login into the system. They can also view and see the product based on their security rights, and be able to interact and see it in 3D as it's being designed and as it's released. Then specific to engineering users, some of those users are going to have some more specific functionalities, such as integrations with their CAD tools, whether it be SolidWorks, CATIA V5, other competitive tools as well. And then other engineering users who are not designers, but more product managers or BOM managers, product list managers, are going to do your bill of materials and maybe your change management, so they can handle all of the change in the product going forward. And finally, you have the people responsible for making sure the product arrives at market at the right time, so your project managers. And they're interacting in the same system, so they have visibility into the product and deliverables, as Soufiane mentioned before, and can manage the entire project outline with the Gantt dependencies and direct connectivity to those actual deliverables.
Great. Soufiane, I think we've got a poll.
Yes, so let's open it up to our audience to do a small poll here, just to see which PLM solution you currently use today. We have a variety, obviously, of choices in the marketplace, and we'd love to hear from you on what you're using today, if anything. And then we'll go into our next session here of the webinar, which will go a little bit deeper into what we just talked about. So again, just a small poll here. We'll take some answers, and we'll broadcast those answers here. And we also encourage you to send any questions you have via the chat box, and we'll be able to read those here in the webinar and answer those live for you.
I'm excited, Soufiane. I wonder what people are using.
We'll find out soon. We'll find out soon. And we've got a few more seconds here to go on this quick poll, and then we can close it up and get started. And another thing, I mean, also while we're waiting for people, I want to stress what Denee mentioned earlier, is this solution is really industry agnostic. As we showed earlier, we at XD Innovation work with a number of customers in different industries, and this is, again, very agnostic. So, all right, so we have our results in, and looks like, you know, about 43% of the people use EPDM. Equally, they use other solutions. And then I think we may have a few people here that may be using Teamcenter. So a little bit of a variety of tools that are being used by audience here as it relates to PDM and PLM.
Well, that's great, Soufiane. Thanks for sharing. That gives us a real understanding of what the attendees are really invested in. So continuing on, David gave us an overview, Soufiane, of the types of users that are in the 3D Experience platform, and sort of who would be invested, what stakeholders would be invested. Can you give us a little bit more color in terms of what these users are even going to be using in the tool? What are they consuming? From their day-to-day tasks, what are they going to be able to accomplish in the platform?
Yes, absolutely, Denee. So as David mentioned, there are really three parts to this solution. One is the collaboration, the engineering, and project management. So as it relates to online collaboration, everybody that gets access to the platform will get access to the foundation of the platform. And there are some very key capabilities. Again, this is an online platform. It's available through a web browser anywhere in the world where you have a web browser, you can access this. And there are some key capabilities that I'd like to stress here. As you can see, there are a number of capabilities, but really some that resonate with a lot of our customers is searching, for example. Finding information, as trivial as it may sound, is a big challenge inside big corporations. So, or small corporations, really just finding the relevant information. So searching capabilities within the platform are very robust. It's basically what we call a tag where you, just like you go to Amazon and you start filtering and curating what you're looking for based on who's done what, when, where, at what point, right? So you can
W's, who, what, where, when, and why.
exactly. And the other thing also that's really appealing to our users and our customers is dashboards, the ability to have dashboards of information that is available to you as you log in. So if you're a supplier, you may log in and see the latest and greatest version of a particular CAD document. Or if you're a quality manager, you may have your quality checks that you need to do. You can customize the dashboard to resonate with whatever usage. The other one is communities. The idea that you can build online communities to collaborate, whether inside or outside the company, with, again, other stakeholders like manufacturing, quality, or others, or suppliers or customers. A lot of our customers like to bring their customers into the product development lifecycle and get them involved in the process, and you are able to do that using the online collaboration capabilities of the PLM Essentials platform. Document control is just inherent into the solution, so you can do document control, document management, integration directly with your Microsoft Office applications, and finally formal approvals and signatures. So capturing signatures, we have a very robust workflow engine that can be configured, again, not customized, Denee, but configured, configured to fit your business needs. And you can do any kind of workflows using this engine, very visual, to make sure that you're capturing approvals and digital signatures as needed in the product development lifecycle.
So it sounds like, just as a user or a standard user in the platform, I'm getting a lot of robust tools that will help me in my day-to-day work life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different areas. What we see on the screen now is actually a collaborative workspace. So this is one of the areas and one of the interfaces that the users can see. And there's a lot of different things I want to pull your attention to here. I mean, if you start on the left, you have the folder structure. So we're looking at a workspace. There's some documents, there's some drawings and things like that. And those are folders as they're reflected in the system. But you can also see areas where you might want to be able to add files. So you can drag and drop files directly from your desktop into that drop box that there in the kind of top right, and drag files directly into the interface to check them in. Of course, once a file is checked in, you can download it, but you can also do all the standard version control, revisioning, but you can also lock it so that when you're going to do your changes, the changes are done under control. And finally, at the top, we see that kind of area that says all in doc. That's actually the search bar. And that's apparent on every page in the platform and gives us that full search capability across all of the documents, PDFs, Word docs, also inside, not just the metadata, but actually inside those documents. In addition, the product has a full workflow capability, as Soufiane mentioned, and this is used across every process in the company. So you can step forward just one so we can see the workflow. So we have, whether they be employees, shareholders, et cetera, we have what we call routes. And these are essentially workflow routes that are dynamically generated. They can come from templates, and they allow you to go through approval processes or also direct as you would documents through a standard workflow. We can keep track of all of the signatures and the approvals that are going on, and you have, of course, the standard logic that you would have in any workflow engine, either or, different routes, moving things back and forth in the workflow. But we also keep track in detail of, for example, digital signatures. So we are 21 CFR CFR Part 11 compatible and compliant. So if you are a life sciences company, also that's this will fulfill that requirement. So the workflow really provides a core functionality that allows us to do the right level of business process in the product.
Awesome. Soufiane, I think we're on to engineering users now. Can you share with us a little bit about what they're going to consume and what may be a little bit different than the common user?
Absolutely, Denee. So a big part of obviously the PLM Essentials is the engineering department and the CAD and managing CAD data, managing engineering changes, managing the bill of materials. So just a few key things to stress on the engineering capabilities that you get with the platform is obviously the ability to manage any CAD data inside the platform, just like you would with any PDM system, right? So you can manage your SolidWorks, your CATIA, or any other CAD files. Another thing that's really important to our customers is engineering changes and keeping a good cadence and a good governance around engineering change. So we have a very robust engineering change engine that you can make as lax or as formal as you'd like. And that's really important. So we have a few things where some of our customers are early in the prototyping phase, so they just want a very light change management engine. Once the product gets released and it's on the field, maybe they want to put a little bit of a heavier the cadence or governance around change. The other thing that's really cool about the platform is the ability to author and change and edit bill of materials online. So you have a tabular way, just like your Excel online, but except it's on the platform and it's right there for you to edit and author bill of materials. A lot of our customers also ask us about parts numbering. Some of them have very easy or simple ways to do parts numbering. Some of them have very logical ways by which they want to do parts numbering. Maybe it's a department plus this, plus that. We have many, many different ways to do parts auto numbering and configure, again, not customize, but configure it to fit the business needs of these customers. And finally, the access control, which is important. You don't want people accessing data that they don't have the right to access. So we have very robust security engine again to control who can access what at what given time.
That's great, Soufiane. So David, this is an immersive experience, it sounds like, for these users. Can you give us a little bit more detail? I think this has given us an overview of what I'd actually see as some of these users. Is that right?
Yeah, so when you look at different user groups, they kind of have a different requirement for the type of interface they want to work with. And especially when you're working with CAD users, they don't want to leave their CAD environment, and which makes sense because they're not being paid to interact with a lot of different systems. They're being paid, and their whole passion for their work is the 3D design itself. So they're in their CAD tool.
Right.
So those CAD tools all have immersive interfaces where those CAD designers can do the main tasks that they want to get done on their product. So they can search in the database, they can drag things into their designs, existing parts in their designs, they can manage the revisions of it, all in the same interface. At the same time, we also have a Windows integration, so that when the designers are looking through Microsoft Windows, and they can look into the PLM system itself and see the design, see information about the designs directly in Windows Explorer. Now, some other users, for example, some of the more power users, the BOM users, will want to go in and do BOM editing, as Soufiane mentioned. So we have a full online web-based BOM management system, which gives them really an interface to have a global view of their product. So depending on the type of user you are, you have an interface that's adapted to you, so whether you're working detailed in the 3D design or whether you're working in the bill of materials.
That's great. It sounds like you guys are helping me do my job from a traditional standpoint, but evolving it with these tools for automation. So it sounds like I'm going to get more work done, more efficient within my day.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So if we want to look a little bit more at what, for example, a bill of materials manager might see, it's not just about having a list, as Soufiane said, in Excel, which of course you see on the left-hand side of the screen. So you can manage your bill of materials, but you can also view it in several different ways. On the left, we have the full structure of the parts, and it's echoed on the right in the 3D view of those actual parts. Here we see a BOM comparison. So if I want to take two different versions of the same bill of materials, I can compare them together. Now, most tools can do this, but one of the benefits of the 3D Experience platform is not only can we do it in tabular form, we can actually do it in 3D, and you can filter out and focus in on specific differences between those two in a 3D sense on the web with no plugins. So this is all, once again, live, real time. Well, the video here is not live, but when you're working on it, it's live, and you're able to move and manipulate the 3D, hide parts directly, and also click and see which ones are different between the two. So you can compare two different revisions and see, what's changed between these two, all within the same environment. And this is, once again, the full 3D experience environment, not just for designers and CAD designers, but also extending out. You can see how other users in the organization, for example, someone who's responsible for purchasing, they want to see where that part is located, or what part has changed between these two different versions of the product. They can go into the platform and they can see it directly, and they can understand what parts they're purchasing. So it really extends outside of just the engineering department.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the purchasing director, like you said, David, I'm not a CAD expert, right?
Nope.
My expertise is in another arena, but I need this information to complete the tasks of my job. So, I mean, it's a very visual aid process that I can see visually and compare what's the difference between the two. I mean, that's great.
Yep. And you don't need a CAD tool to do that. So that's for anybody,
Exactly.
even if they don't have the CAD tool installed.
Exactly. So, Soufiane, you mentioned another role in project management. Can you walk us through some of the key functionality for those users? We've done, the general user, we've done engineers. Now we're onto the project manager.
Absolutely. So thank you again, Denee. So yes, I mean, project management is something that all customers, I would think, do on a day-to-day basis, right?
Right.
There are
Right.
many different tools. There are many different tools that you can use for project management, ranging from Microsoft Project to other tools. But really, what is the benefit of using project management inside of the platform? What we say is something like Microsoft Project is really for planning, for project planning. The project management module inside of PLM Essentials is really centered around execution and around efficiency and productivity. So as I mentioned earlier, having this idea of tasks and deliverables be tied to each other, to where a designer they get a task from their manager to go design a part or an assembly, they go design it, and then how do they communicate that design is done? So the beauty of the platform is that it allows them to do that seamlessly. They don't have to do any other tasks. The other thing is also you can integrate, if for customers using Microsoft Project, they can bring those Microsoft Project plans inside of the platform via a two-way integration and do their planning in MS Project, but do their execution inside of the platform. You would also get all kinds of tools and functionalities like you would with any other project management tools in terms of resources management. So you can do your resources loading, you can do your Gantt charts, your task management, project gates, and even for some regulated industries like med devices or aerospace, they have to probably deliver some kind of project deliverables report, and you can do those things inside of project management module as part of the governance process for some regulated industries.
And Soufiane, all of this is still connected to all those other users we just had a chance to review. All that information, the bill of materials, it's connected to the CAD data. All of this as a project manager, I can still review and see.
Absolutely. And not only that, I mean, you can roll it up to your customers. You can invite your customers to participate in a project, or your suppliers, and have really visibility all across your project lifecycle. And then you can see some of these dashboards and things that David can walk us through here.
Yeah, David, are these the Gantt charts you were speaking of? And is this what I'm viewing as a project manager?
So right here, what we see on the screen is kind of a project manager view. He's actually looking at a program with multiple projects. Down the list, we see the projects as a project, what we call project summary report. So we can see the summary report of all the different projects he's running. And on the right-hand side, we have a little dashboard that's actually very dynamic. And it basically outlines what the pending tasks, how many pending tasks, how many pending deliverables or pending issues there are on each one of those projects. In addition, that's fully interactive, so it's not just an image. You can actually click in on one of those and it will filter down all the results to just those projects or those tasks or things like that. So it's fully bi-directional. It's a very dynamic, allows drill downs. Now here's what, once you enter an actual project, what a project manager sees. This is kind of his dashboard per project. And there's a certain set of product status indicators, task indicators, et cetera, that allow him to understand how his project is behaving, where it needs to draw his attention, where he needs to do things. So you see at the top a lot of the KPIs, the deliverables, what his deliverable states are. And at the bottom, you see the Gantt chart. And this can be expanded, of course, to a full screen Gantt chart where they can basically see the progress of their project, but also track it versus what they were originally planning, and make adjustments. They can even go out and do what if scenarios. So what if I had more resources, or what if I had less resources because, you know, maybe in 2 months we're planning on reducing the resources, we have to focus on another project. How can I reorganize my project so that I can plan for that change and still deliver on time? So there's a lot of functionality in it, and the dashboards themselves give that really high-level view that allows them to go into that quickly.
Awesome. Well, David, I think it's time for another poll. Get the audience involved. Take it away.
Sure. So really what we want to ask in this poll is, you know, what is the most important thing for you in a PLM system? When you look at purchasing a PLM software, what has the highest value for you? What are you looking for? You know, when you have a PLM system, of course, you have to deliver data into some sort of manufacturing system or transactional system to be able to go out and buy it. So integration with those other applications. There also could be other applications you can integrate to other than ERP and MRP as well. Managing your change and configuration management. A lot of customers really want to have a tighter grip on how change is happening in their company, get a better control in the process. Others want to manage the bill of materials because they see that they're sending bill of materials to manufacturing, but that bill of materials is not necessarily correct the first time. So they get, either they're building the wrong thing or they're having to send it back and forth with engineering. So maybe getting that bill of materials under control is a lot more important for you. And then, of course, there's collaboration between non-engineering disciplines or different engineering disciplines inside the same organization. So a lot of times customers, as they evolve, will kind of get themselves into a siloed mode where your marketing people are working in their marketing silo, your salespeople are in one silo, your engineering is another, and your manufacturing is another. So some of our customers, we find they're really looking to break down those silos and have more collaboration between different disciplines. So getting feedback from the marketing team on what the product feature should be in the next release, what are the next types of products they should build, what is the feedback from manufacturing? Is there an easier way to build it if they made a few changes in engineering? So those are the sorts of collaborations that some of our customers are looking for. So please go ahead.
I'm excited to hear what they say, because all of what you mentioned really resonates with a lot of our customers that we speak to. So I'm interested.
So please go ahead, vote. Think about it for a minute. Let us know what you think is most important for you. We'll go ahead for a few more minutes or a few more seconds here and finish up the poll. And once those are closed, we'll talk a little bit about the results. So,
David, I was at the Space Tech Expo yesterday, and some of what you're saying here today was some of the exact conversations I was having with customers about collaborating with different stakeholders in a single source of truth. I mean, there aren't a lot of tools out there that can enable that sort of power and capacity.
Yeah. So if we look at the results that we have here, it seems a lot of you are really concerned about the integration with other applications. So especially the ERP and MRP, being able to get for example, your bill of materials, your product structure handed over to your ERP versus your purchasing guys can actually go out and start purchasing things to go into your manufacturing line, or taking your bill of materials and handing it over to the manufacturing line so that they can actually, understand what they're going to be building. So that was roughly half of you. And it's good to know that from the Dassault side, we have this solution is a base solution from XD, but allows you to do all of those collaborations with those external tools. So there's out-of-the-box integrations, for example, with SAP and with Oracle Manufacturing, so that you can hand over PLM data directly into those systems. Also, some of you said, engineering change. Maybe that's a little bit lower than what we sometimes see, but it also might have to do with some of the size and the formality of the problems, or maybe some of you have just already got that under control. Bill of materials is always at least on there. Having a good bill of materials and 0 errors in your bill of materials is important. And collaboration with non-engineering disciplines. There's a few of you, basically the same as managing with engineering change. Sometimes can be a little bit more advanced topic, but can really help accelerate.
Awesome. Sounds like people are really involved, and I'm excited.
Yeah, that's great.
So now that we've got these polls, let's go back into the webinar here. And now, can we talk about deployment? Soufiane, can you share with us how XD, what is the vantage point of XD innovation in helping the customers understand how they deploy these tools?
Yes, absolutely, Denee. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So when we talk to a lot of customers, they are concerned about the complexity and the time it takes to implement a big PLM system. So
Yeah,
we here at
sometimes it's a monster.
Well, it's in the case of PLM Essentials, we've actually scaled it down to where we can manage your implementation, down from weeks and months to days and weeks. And really, we do that by having a 6-step process, very defined process that again keeps things very configurable, because we have worked with many customers. We have some built-in business processes that we can leverage from prior experiences. So really, it starts with a project kickoff. Once a customer decides to deploy a PLM Essential, we work with them to define who their stakeholders are, who their project members would be. The second really step to this is, once we've defined the team that will be deploying the PLM, then we go and do some workshops, business process mapping workshops, where we really align the capabilities of the PLM Essentials package to the business processes that these companies have. And then once we've got all of that done, then the third piece is really the installation and configuration of the software. We have very robust tools, proprietary tools to XD Innovation, where we are able to spin up environments very, very quickly, whether that could be on a public or private or a hosted cloud. Then we also go into the configuration, where we configure based on the business workshops, business process workshops that we've done. Right after this, again, we like to get the customer involved very early on, so we empower some power users through some training. We have some training methodologies that we've developed here in-house. We do some configuration. Usually there is a validation, in terms of end user testing, UAT sessions that we do with our customers. And once everything is good, we go into handoff and then user training, where we provide the documentation, and then we have online or in-person training based on the customer's needs or wants. So really, again, we package this not only from a functionality perspective, but also from a deployment perspective, to make sure that we get faster time to value for our customers through this rapid deployment methodology.
Wow, Soufiane, it sounds pretty simple. I mean, you're really demystifying the truths that may come with, absorbing systems like this. And can you now, we've toyed around this word all webinar versus customizations versus configurations. Can you go into some of the predefined configurations that may be out of the box, some things that I can just go right into as a user?
Absolutely. So, I mean, one thing is obviously the installation of the platform that's done seamlessly. Again, we have some proprietary tools that we use that reduces the installation to really a few hours instead of few days or a few weeks, as opposed to traditional PLM deployments. Then we have our security model, where we define who are the users and what access can they have, whether they're a supplier or a customer or quality person. So we have some very, again, robust tools that we could use to configure the security model inside of the platform, and then the life cycle setup. So usually, whether it's in work, frozen, obsoleted type of a part, we have some very robust life cycles templates that we could use, as well as workflow templates that we could use. In terms of the engineers, we have some, again, out-of-the-box capabilities to integrate CAD connectors, whether that's SolidWorks, KT, or others. And then we have some ways to configure parts numbering and parts classification and parts attributes inside of the platform, using, again, configuration. And configuration really means that we're doing these things on a visual drop-down menu where we're picking all of these things rather than actually writing custom code or scripting to make sure these things happen.
Which lowers total cost of ownership.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, again, demystification, Soufiane. You're really giving us an overview of how to really absorb this robust system pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And so the other piece that I wanted to go through here is, again, the templatizing of projects. So you can have templates of projects to launch really quickly. So we can do that as an optional configuration. And we also have, I mean, we've talked about engineering, we've talked about collaboration, we've talked about project management, but I do want to draw the audience's attention that we have additional capabilities that work really, like you and I, Denee, like to say, a Lego approach, right?
Yes.
You put some of these modules, building a box, right? We
Building
put
blocks, we love it.
some of these things on top of the PLM Essentials. So for customers that may need PLM Essentials, but they also may need some quality management module or requirements or variant management, we're able to add those as an optional module either during or after the implementation. So really the customer is not limited to PLM Essentials by itself, but they can add many different capabilities because it is a scalable platform. Lastly, the add-on services that we have. So a lot of our audience is concerned about ERP, MRP integration. We have out-of-the-box capabilities that come with Dassault Systems software, such as SAP or Oracle integration, but we also have pre-built integrations internally at XD that may, be of interest to some of these customers with smaller, maybe mid-market type of ERP systems like Microsoft or NetSuite or Infor, amongst others. And lastly, the data migration. Most of our customers must have some data somewhere, whether they're using a legacy PDM or legacy PLM, or even if they're not using anything and they want to bring their data inside the platform. Again, we have tools and proprietary tools that we can facilitate this data migration inside of the platform. Again, faster time to value for our customers.
Soufiane, I got to tell you, this system seems like there's a key differentiator that you just mentioned here, that it goes beyond, we're talking about the Essentials platform today, components, but you just reached into some areas that I don't think traditionally PLM even touches, right? You reached into quality management and requirements management, variant management. For all of those stakeholders to be talking on the same platform and the same single source of truth, I mean, gosh, you guys must hear that from your customers all the time. When implementing these tools, the ability for all of these different stakeholders to collaborate in one single source of truth must be really powerful.
Absolutely. And I think this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, the difference between PDM and PLM. A lot of smaller companies say, well, I just need a PDM system because I just need to manage my CAD data. I'll do my bill of materials and change management somehow. But then 2-3 years down the line, they may have need for quality management or requirements and all of these things, and they start buying tools, and have a disparate landscape of different tools inside the company. So with this PLM Essentials, really the value is the customers, for all intents or purposes, are starting with a PDM system, but they do have the flexibility to scale up and add additional modules as their business and their business needs grow.
Awesome. So David, maybe you can wrap it up for us. We've seen a lot here today, and maybe you can summarize for us really what we've had a chance to overview. I mean, because there's a lot of key benefits that you and Soufiane, I'm sure, resonate with the audience here today. Maybe you can summarize it for us.
Yeah. So with the 3D Experience platform and the PLM Essentials based on that, you get a lot of benefits. You get the scalability, as Soufiane was just saying, in the platform. So you can start out with a scope that's relatively small, but that doesn't keep you from going up and saying, I want some of the more advanced processes later on. I love the Lego analogy. Just be able to put it on as you need it.
Yeah.
Add on different modules to start building out your solution, not necessarily have to do everything up front. You get the users with their PDM look and feel, so your designers are really focused on design, focused on the things that they do, whereas you at the same time being able to do more advanced topics such as bill of materials management and change management. You get the different disciplines involved, so you're getting a lot more collaboration inside your company. And at the same time, you're able to lower your total cost of ownership of any sort of PLM system, because with the PLM Essentials, you have some pre-built roles, you have the different roles inside the system, and you also have those industry processes from the 12 industries at Dassault Systems built into that platform, which means that you can basically get the platform up and running immediately, start using it, and there can be some configurations you'll do, but once again, as Soufiane mentioned, these are the implementation projects that XD can do for these are relatively quick and easy because there is so much out-of-the-box functionality.
Wow.
So really, in terms of the licensing, the process, and things like that, it's all very fast to get up and running.
Wow. David and Soufiane, you guys, are you doing this at startup companies or just already developed companies, or both? Or
Soufiane?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we do here at XD Innovation is we work with a lot of startups because we work with a lot of innovative companies and some disruptive companies at that, and a lot of those by nature will be startups. So yes, it is for startups, but it doesn't just stop there. It's also for big companies. So we have deployments at multi-billion-dollar companies, just like that have thousands or maybe tens of thousands of customers. But we also have deployments at customers that just have 3 to 4 to 5 users. So again, the platform is really scalable. It's definitely a viable option for both.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm very impressed with all this information. I'm sure the audience is as well. Let's open it up for question and answers. I'm sure we've got a lot of questions.
Yeah, so it looks like one of the questions that came in here, let's see, does this integration cover other CAD platforms other than SolidWorks?
Sure, I'll take that one. Yeah, so the integration actually covers all the major CAD tools. So of course SolidWorks and CATIA, because SolidWorks is a Dassault product and CATIA V5 is also a Dassault product. It of course works with the 3D Experience CATIA as well, but also other competitive platforms such as NX or Creo can also be integrated in.
Awesome.
With the same level of deep integration, yeah.
All right, and what about other PLM functions, quality requirements, project management, etc.? And David, I think that one's going to go to you as well.
Okay, so like we said, a lot of those are built into the platform. Some customers will have, for example, their own quality system. So that external quality system can be integrated in, so you have one single point of truth where you can get a dashboard and view into those other systems. Or you can use it also as a migration. So you have another external system, for example, for project management, and you slowly move those that data into the system.
Great. And this one's for you, Soufiane. What about maybe more in the realm of manufacturing a handoff? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, most products that have to be designed have to be manufactured. So yes, we do have robust capabilities. So what we covered here today was really around engineering bill of materials. There is another module that can be added, again, Lego approach on top of the platform that can handle manufacturing bill of materials, and that's where most customers will do their synthetic parts, rearrange their bill of materials to eventually hand off to ERP, like we mentioned earlier. So yes, we do have manufacturing bill of material capabilities. Above and beyond that, not the topic for today, but we also can handle manufacturing planning and manufacturing scheduling and execution as part of the platform using additional modules that we didn't cover here today.
Yep.
Great. Another one for you, David. So how does this look maybe on-premise or a mix of on-premise versus cloud? Basically, how does this, what kind of differences do you see for cloud only, for on-premise, and what we discussed?
So really the deployment discussion is really up to the customer. Some customers really want to have all their data on-premise in their own servers. Some customers are more open to cloud because they want to focus their resources on more doing their own engineering tasks as opposed to administering and running a PLM system. So it's really up to them on which they choose. On the cloud side, we have both the Dassault public cloud, which is a public cloud available to all of our customers, where you can basically get up and running in a matter of hours. So once you pass an order, we get the system up and running, and you can log in and start using it. There is also a kind of a hybrid approach, which is using a private cloud solution, which is also provided with from Dassault Systems that XD can leverage, so that you get the full power of the platform, all of the flexibility you want, but none of the constraints that you might normally see in a public cloud situation. So that way the customers kind of have three different options. They can either literally have it in their house, they can have it in a private cloud that's dedicated to them, or you can have it on the Dassault Systems cloud. The functionality between the three is almost identical. The software is identical between them. It's just kind of the level of configuration, the speed at which they want to move.
That's great. Soufiane, back to you. This question's more in the realm of pricing and how it's charged. Is it usually charged by user, or how does the pricing structure usually work in something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually, I mean, we have, I guess, very flexible ways to license the software. So we have customers that are doing project-based deployments where they literally just have it for 3 to 6 months. So you can do a time-based licensing, three months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever makes sense for the customers. We also have perpetual licensing, where a customer knows this is the direction they want to go with long term, and they want to do a perpetual license. In terms of how it is charged, whether it's by user, it is by user. It's role-based licensing. So your supplier will get a different license than your engineer internally, and the cost obviously would vary. What I can say is that it is, in terms of cost, it is very comparable to most PDM systems, in terms of cost per license. So we're happy to take these discussions one-on-one with anybody who's interested, but I can tell you that it is affordable. It is very comparable to most PDM systems out there, not the big cost that you would associate with a big PLM system like this.
And also with the one thing to bring out is we also have, for any of you who are startups, there's some special startup packaging available, startup costing available. So if you are a startup and you're very cost conscious, trying to get up and running very quickly, please talk to XD. They can help you out with that.
And just one last thing. We also partner with a variety of financing partners. For those customers that want to get financing, we can finance a full spectrum of the software and services all in one transaction.
Great. Let's see. This one is back to you, David. Is ECAD or software also managed on this platform?
Yes, so we talked about the different engineering disciplines, and we're focusing mainly on the mechanical CAD side, which is where most of the PLM users come from traditionally. But as customers move towards more, intelligent products, whether, regardless of the industry that they're in, whether it's in high tech, which is, always had electronics in it, or life sciences, medical devices, but now, electric vehicle, automotive, aerospace, you need to have one common view of your product. So we do have integrations to all of the major ECAD products that integrate directly in this platform. So you can talk about Altium, OrCAD, Cadence Allegro, etc. So all of those different CAD users can contribute and store all of their data in the same bill of materials. So you have one common view of the entire product. And from the ALM side, so application lifecycle management, we do have a solution for managing the software and keeping track of the different versions and features that go into each release of software, combined with the hardware and electronics of your product. So when you're doing, for example, product configuration, you select certain processors that will automatically include the right drivers and the right version of drivers for those configurations.
That's great. Back to you, Soufiane. Does the PLM Essentials platform expand to include supplier communities as well?
Absolutely, and I think that was part of the one of the slides that I showed. Online collaboration is the idea that you can create an online community to your suppliers as a company. So definitely, as long as your supplier has a web browser and internet connection, you can definitely bring them into the platform, and they can have access to all of the latest and greatest data and collaborate with you real time, not only to access information, which I'm sure you can do with a lot of file sharing software, but also to participate in workflows, signatures, and have a real digital repository for all of your product data and all your processes and approvals, etc. So yes, definitely.
All within the security context as well, so that they only see the data that they're supposed to see, which is, of course, very important when you're doing supply chain.
That's a great point, David.
Back to you, David. This one's a little more technical, but do you typically take up projects, or can this system take up projects with use reference design by SoC manufacturers?
So there are semiconductor components and semiconductor data management products available on the platform. So we can basically manage the SoC design. We also have certain tools for simulation around some of those semiconductor things. So you get some of the power, performance, and area analysis. And then that also rolls up into a bill of materials. So you can handle all the project management, the issue tracking, and things like that, all in one platform.
That's and great. Just one last thing on this particular thing. One of the other things that we here at XD Innovation have is we know a lot of just go back to issue tracking, but we do have a Jira integration for those customers out there that like to use Jira for issue tracking. So you can definitely integrate that into the platform.
Yep.
Perfect. And this one's kind of for everybody here, but are these slides going to be? We have someone wondering here if these slides are going to be sent out or can be available online after the discussion.
I can answer that question. We're going to make this whole entire webinar available on our YouTube channel, and we can link you up with a subject matter expert where they can be sent directly to you as well. So we'll have it visible to the entire world on our YouTube channel, but we'd love to have individual conversations with you so we can tailor this information specifically to your particular company. We have really cool ways to create and develop instant websites so that if you want to propagate this throughout your organization or to some other managers or personnel within your company, highlighting different aspects of the webinar, we can tailor it to your company.
That's great. Another kind of a technical question. When it comes to 3D experience with SolidWorks, let's see here. Are we using Siemens NX's Parasolid or the CATIA kernel? And this one may need to be taken offline if we want to have a separate discussion on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I can take that offline with the person. I mean, SolidWorks is using the Parasolid thing, but the Parasolid engine. CATIA uses a CATIA engine. But I'll be glad to take that directly with the customer.
Perfect. All right, and I think that handles all of the questions that I saw come in today. Thank you guys for answering these thoroughly.
We are almost at the top of the hour. What a dynamic webinar. Thank you guys so much for joining in. These are going to be a frequent occurrence here at XD Innovation. So please, please, please log on to www.xdinnovation.com. Check out our events page We've got webinars and we've got a roadshow going. We're coming to a city near you guys, not only with this type of information related to PLM Essentials, but we're really going to branch the 3D Experience platform out to all of the different stakeholders and industries and flavors of industries that we have for these tools. So please, please, please check out our events page on www.xdinnovation.com. Follow us on LinkedIn for XD Insights. We go live all of the time from events, from our customers, from various places where we give you tips and tricks, just things coming from the industry, things that resonate with us. Please, please, please connect with us. And we thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, XD.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.